Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our June 10th board meeting. Please join us for the pledge. Mr. McCarthy. One.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Supervisor Wilhelm.
Here.
Councilman McCarthy.
Here.
Councilwoman Millick.
Here.
Councilwoman Inzerillo.
Here.
Councilman Lohman.
Here. Before we start, is there anyone in the audience that's here about the code change on the truck exclusion? Okay, I know there were some people downstairs. Just so you know, that's been taken off the agenda for further consideration. There's been a lot of confusion about the purpose of that. It was really done in conjunction with the fourth precinct about writing, having their officers write on tractor trailers overweight on roads. But the way the public hearing was written confused a lot of people. So there is no action on it. It is off the agenda. It's being presently discussed by the attorney and the traffic safety director so that we can clarify for residents exactly what it means. But there was a misconception on what it actually meant. So we're having, Councilman Lohman's gonna have the fourth precinct come in, Suffolk County PD, so we can all get that on the same page. And then we would get the information out to you on what it is. But it's not, it was specifically written to change the code because they're claiming, fourth precinct, they're having trouble writing weight tickets on tractor trailers in residential neighborhoods that are using it as shortcuts because of our signage and our code. And that's what they requested we make a change, but the change got confused, so I just want you to know that. Right, so it's off the agenda, there's no action taken, and we will make sure when we get it corrected, it's the right terminology, we'll make sure the public knows about it.
So they want to increase the weight limit so they can write more tickets? I don't understand.
No. Let me give you an example, maybe the town attorney can help out. Like, for example, they said we were inconsistent. For example, you could be in Huntington, driving from Huntington to Smithtown. They do not have a 2.5 ton truck exclusion. It's 5 ton. So you're legal in Huntington, you cross onto a Smithtown road with a 2.5 ton truck exclusion, you're in violation, right? So a Cadillac Escalade is 5 ton. So it was really meant for tractor trailer traffic, specific to a couple roads in Smithtown. One is Bread and Cheese Hollow Road, because tractor trailers from the industrial area were using Bread and Cheese to get to 25A to the north instead of going around. And when we asked the fourth precinct to write summonses on weight based on the residents' complaints, they indicated the way our code and our signage is written, they can't do it. It makes it impossible for them to write that way because of the signage. So they asked us to change the code, we started to get involved in it, and then we saw the confusion, so we pulled the public hearing off. So it's not going to, if you can elaborate, Mr. Attorney, better than I can.
Yeah, the primary purpose was that the code is written that they weigh the vehicles by unladen weight, which that they couldn't enforce it based on that, so we were moving that to gross maximum weight, which is indicated on the trucks. So it was gonna make it easier for them to enforce that way. The changes with the weights, many of the roads, especially, the best example is Old Northport Road, where you have, it's split between Huntington and Smithtown. If you're going south, you're in Huntington with a 5 ton restriction. If you're going back north, it's a 2.5 ton restriction. So the fourth precinct asked us to address certain roads to move them all into 5 tons. We saw that, you know, we recognized a number of residents were concerned about that.
They didn't ask
So,
Huntington to change theirs, they just asked Smithtown to change ours.
yes, well, apparently 2.5 tons is kind of fallen out of favor with traffic engineers. So most of them moved up to 5 tons. But we recognized the concerns of the residents, and that's why we decided to pull it and just rework it so it addresses particularly what we're trying to get.
From our viewpoint.
Yeah, absolutely.
We look at now tractor trailers coming off of the Long Island Expressway into Comac Road.
Right.
Coming on to new highway to access the industrial park.
Right.
And now they're gonna pass 2 schools
Right.
adjacent to the sawmill and the park.
Right.
And I don't know about you, but when I go through the school zone, I slow down.
Mm-hmm.
I get people, they honk, they horn at me, they flash their lights.
Right.
So can you imagine what happened, we start getting tractor trailers and
Yeah.
through there?
But that's not gonna happen though, because it wasn't the intent of it. That's where the confusion came in.
Okay.
Nothing, the intention is not to change anything other than conform with what the fourth precinct needs to write a tractor trailer full of material on a truck excluded, weight excluded road. So we will let the public know, but there is no action being taken until we straighten it out so everybody understands it correctly.
So essentially, we got a lot of emails and phone calls. So we recognize that there was a problem with the code, so we're gonna try to improve it.
Right?
We're all here today, we want to find out.
And just, look, stay in touch, we have the website, we'll make sure before we do anything, residents understand it clearly, so there isn't a problem. Right, absolutely, thank you. Okay, we're gonna begin today with, site plan. Mr. Trotter, you're up.
Good afternoon, Supervisor, members of the Town Board. I'm Liam Trotta with the Planning Department. I have one site plan to present this afternoon to the Board, acting as the Board of Site Plan Review. The application is called P7881 Jericho Mini Storage. The subject site is located on the north side of Jericho Turnpike, 1,400 feet west of Plymouth Boulevard in Comac. The site is composed of 3 separate tax parcels and has the former Suburban Exterminator building on the eastern tax parcel. The proposal is for the demolition of an existing 2,700 square foot commercial building and the construction of a new 74,928 square foot 2-story mini storage warehouse plus a 37,464 square foot cellar with associated site work. So the building, if you look at the left-hand side of the plan, this is Jericho Turnpike, so there'll be one curb cut access off of Jericho. There will be parking and loading in the front of the building. There'll be one driveway on the east side of the building that connects to the back. There'll be additional parking and loading on the back side of the building as well. And the grade on the site, it grades upwards, slopes upwards from Jericho Turnpike, and the building's actually going to be built into the slope. So from the front elevation facing Jericho Turnpike, it'll have an appearance of a 2-story building, but on the rear side, it'll only be 1 story. So this is accessing the second floor of the building on the back side of the building. The site is split zoned. The front is WSI, and the rear portion is zone residential, and the applicant did get variances and special exception approval for parking in a residence district. There's a small portion of the rear parking lot that encroaches into the residential district, but again, they did get BZA approval for that. Again, this is the proposed architecture of the building. And the applicant has agreed to 10 conditions of site plan approval. The first condition is that they obtain the necessary permits from the town building department. The second condition is that the applicant install a tree preservation fence around all trees to be preserved on site. The third condition is the applicant provide a design for temporary sheeting and bracing to be used along the property line. The fourth condition is that the applicant obtain a New York Speedies general permit for stormwater discharges from construction activity. The fifth condition is the applicant submit a fee for soil removal. The sixth condition is that the applicant obtain necessary permits for the proposed retaining wall. There will be a 6-foot retaining wall on the north side of the parking lot in the rear. The seventh condition is that the applicant obtain a highway work permit from the New York State Department of Transportation for a new curb cut and improvements along Jericho Turnpike. The eighth condition is that the applicant, prior to a CO, submit to the town a copy of the filed covenants and deeds determined by the Suffolk County Department of Health Services in regards to sanitary improvements. The ninth condition is that the applicant install landscaping in accordance with the marked up plan prepared by the planning department, which is this plan right here. Want some grass lawn in front of the building, which is typical with all commercial development. And the last condition is that all internal lighting in the glass portion of the building visible from public view shall be turned off at the close of office hours. Does the board have any questions on this proposal?
Questions by the board?
I have one question.
Yes.
You may not know the answer right off the top of your head. How many of these storage facilities do we have in our town?
I don't know off the top of our head, but we do have an inventory that I can give you a copy of.
Yeah, just curious.
Yep, I can provide you.
Thanks, man.
Yep, you're welcome.
And also, Mr. Trotter, I know we're putting these lawns in front of these commercial buildings, so they look good for the road. Is there a requirement for irrigation?
There is no requirement, but I believe they will be installing irrigation for the, because
Okay.
there will be some street trees and low-lying shrubs in front of the building as well.
So I referenced like CBS over here when we did that a number of years ago. We made them put, landscaping in the front, and then they just let it deteriorate, so something we should make a note of.
Correct, yeah, the zoning ordinance doesn't require irrigation, but we could, if we want to impose that, we can speak with the applicant and make sure that
Yeah,
they
when
will.
we do these kind of site plans, so that, at least this way they have the upkeep,
Yep,
right?
got it,
Liam,
yes.
in regard to what Councilman Lohman asked, every time I look, there's warehouses. Would you have the information, are they all filled up? There must be a need, because they're going up.
I don't know the occupancy for all the existing facilities. I mean, I do know I spoke with the new CubeSmart, the operator of the CubeSmart, and I think they're like at least 75% occupancy, and they've only been open for a year.
Yeah,
So
there's a
they do
need for
fill up pretty
those.
quick.
Most of them are.
Yeah.
They are, huh?
Yeah,
There's
most
a
of them
need.
are occupied, yep.
And they're pretty, too. They do a lot of front, looks good.
Thanks.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you, that'll be voted on at the end of the agenda. We will move now, sitting as Board of Water Commissioners.
We have minutes approval for May 22nd, 2025, one budget transfer item and two personnel items as they appear on the agenda.
Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zarello?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim?
Yes. Reconvene as Town Board.
We have special event German Fall Festival, September 20, 2025, from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. America's Vet Dogs 5K Dog Run Dog Walk, September 27, 2025, from 7 a.m. until approximately 12 p.m. And the Building Department May 2025 report. There are two public hearings today to be presented by Rachel Lenberger. One is to consider amendments to Chapter 233, and the other is to consider proposed local law 9, 2025 amendments to Chapter 164.
Good afternoon, Supervisor and members of the board. The purpose of this hearing is to consider amendments to Chapter 233, Shellfish. The purpose of this amendment is to change the amount of shellfish permitted to be taken and removed from 1/2 bushel to 1 bushel in Section 233-3, to change the measuring of hard clams from at the right angles shell hinge to across the shell hinge in Section 233-17B, to change the quantity from 5 bushels to 100 hard clams in Section 233-17C, to change the quantity from 3 to 1/2 bushels of hard clams in Section 233-18C, to change the quantity from 5 to 1/2 bushels of oysters in Section 233-19A, and to remove Section 233-21, which relates to civil penalties. Unless there are any questions, that concludes this public hearing.
Any questions by the board? No questions. Is anyone in the audience wish to be heard on this public hearing? There being none, move to close.
Second.
Supervisor Wareheim?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zarello?
Yes.
Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Good afternoon again, Supervisor and members of the board. The purpose of this hearing is to consider amendments to Chapter 164, Fire Prevention. This proposed amendment would change coal burning stoves to pellet burning stoves in Section 164-153, Section 164-154, and Section 164-155. Unless there are any questions, that concludes this public hearing.
Is that eliminate coal to go to pellets? Is that what it is? Question by the board?
No.
Anyone in the audience wish to be heard on this public hearing? There being none, move to close.
Second.
Supervisor Wareheim?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zarello?
Yes.
Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Thank you, Counselor.
Consent agenda, there's minutes approval, May 22nd, 2025, and items 1 through 15, and resolution number 1 as they appear on the agenda.
Is there anyone on the board that wishes to remove any resolutions from the consent agenda?
No, thank you.
Mr. Clerk?
Councilman Lohman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Izzarello,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack,
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy,
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
Town Board to issue a secra negative declaration in the matter of the application for site plan approval by P7881, as stated in a memorandum from David A. Barnes, Environmental Protection Director, dated June 5th, 2025.
Councilman Lohman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Izzarello,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack,
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy,
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
Town Board to authorize the town clerk to advertise for bid 25059, annual contract for traffic signal maintenance material. Bid 25062, furnish and deliver a 24 by 60-foot mobile office trailer. And bid 25064, cast iron drainage items.
Councilman Lohman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Izzarello,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack,
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy,
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
Town Board to award bid 25048 for plow blades and cutting edges to Cherming Supply Corp., Vaughn Manufacturing Corp., All Island Equipment, Trias Inc., and Ware Parts and Equipment Company.
Councilman Lohman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Izzarello,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack,
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy,
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
Town Board to approve an agreement with National Water Main Cleaning Company to perform various projects under the terms and conditions of Suffolk County contract. Purchase of equipment and services for the town's Emergency Operations Center from A-Plus Technology and Security. The rejection of all bids received on April 10th, 2025 in connection with bid 25033 for a used articulated tractor. The extension of bid 24047, highway work trucks with Long Island Freightliner through July 30th, 2026. The extension of bid 24049 for signal mast arms with Hink Electrical through July 15, 2026. An agreement with Residential Fences Corp. To perform various projects under the terms and conditions of Suffolk County Department of Public Works contract. A revision to the 2025 agreement to spend town highway funds. Highway Department to purchase 2 6-wheel trucks with options from Trucks, Inc., doing business as Long Island Freightliner. Also, the Highway Department to purchase 2 10-wheel trucks with options from Trucks, Inc., doing business as Long Island Freightliner. The Highway Department agreements with school districts and villages for road maintenance work, snow removal, and material supply through May 31, 2026. Highway Department to purchase a flat deck trailer from Komatsu of America. The Department of Environment and Waterways to purchase a Ford Mach-E from Hempstead Ford Lincoln. Also, the Department of Environment and Waterways to purchase 2 Ford Lightning trucks from Hempstead Ford Lincoln. A grant application FY26 for community project funding. Highway Department to purchase an Elgin Broom Badger street sweeper from Long Island Sanitation Equipment. Authorize the conveyance of a non-exclusive permanent sanitary sewer line easement to the County of Suffolk for sanitary sewer purposes pursuant to Section 72H of the New York State General Municipal Law. And the town to accept a donation of certain real property located at Riviera Dock Road in Kings Park from the Kings Park Boat Club, also known as the Kings Park Yacht Club, to be preserved and maintained as shoreline and underwater land.
Councilman Lohman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Izzarello,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack,
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy,
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
Town Board to issue a written consistency determination pursuant to Chapter 151 of the Town Code that Coastal Consistency Review Number 2025-08, Forest Beach Country Club is consistent with the local waterfront revitalization plan with conditions as stated in the June 4th, 2025 memorandum from the Planning Director.
Councilman Lohman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Anzarello.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack.
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy.
Yes.
Supervisor Wilhelm.
Yes.
Town Board to authorize the supervisor to execute the following on a form approved by the town attorney. Horizons Medical Professional Liability Insurance for 2025. Traffic signal agreement with Suffolk County Department of Public Works for County Route 14 Harned Road at New Highway. Agreements between the Recreation Department and various vendors to provide specialized services and programs for the town of Smithtown for the 2025 summer season. An agreement with the Sports Arena to provide adaptive sports programs for the Smithtown Youth Bureau from July 1st, 2025 through August 30th, 2025. And an agreement with Samantha Loudon for professional consultant services in relation to the Town of Smithtown Youth Bureau Adaptive Sports Program.
Councilman Lohman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Anzarello.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack.
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy.
Yes.
Supervisor Wilhelm.
Yes.
Town Board to approve settlement in the matter of Joseph Cabello versus the Town of Smithtown.
Councilman Lohman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Anzarello.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack.
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy.
Yes.
Supervisor Wilhelm.
Yes.
Town Board to authorize an amendment to the Uniform Traffic Code and authorize the Traffic Safety Department to install and maintain necessary signs for a school speed zone at Wicks Path in Comac.
Councilman Lohman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Anzarello.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack.
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy.
Yes.
Supervisor Wilhelm.
Yes.
And personnel items A through AA as they appear on the agenda.
Councilman Lohman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Anzarello.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack.
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy.
Yes.
Supervisor Wilhelm.
Yes. Concludes resolutions. We now have the site plan to vote on.
Minutes approval for April 1st, 2025, and conditionally approve the site plan for P7881 as presented by Liam Trotta.
Councilman Lohman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Anzarello.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack.
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy.
Yes.
Supervisor Wilhelm.
Yes. That concludes our business on the agenda. Do we have any speakers?
Yes, Supervisor.
Okay,
Stewart?
before we start, public participation is subject to the rules of decorum, which you have on your speaker card, Town Code Section 76.7. Public portion is for town-related matters only. Any unsubstantiated, unverified, or material false information will be interrupted. 3-minute rule will be strictly enforced, so when you hear the tone, you know you have 1 minute to conclude your statement. Thank you.
Stuart Schiller?
Good afternoon. Stuart Schiller, 18 Stony Hill Path. I've been here, last time was in the fall, after the storm, the August 19th storm. Since then, I've gotten, and I told you at the time, it's an ongoing issue. It's not just one storm. It's been a problem more than once, and there's been no contact since that storm from the Highway Department or anybody. I filed a claim for the damages. It was denied. I put in a FOIL request to see what was in the claim file. There are documents missing. My letter that I sent over a year ago that explained this whole issue is not in the file. I hand-delivered it to the town attorney's office and to the highway department, 2 separate buildings, and did not show up in that file, so it was not given to the claim investigator. There's another document that should be in there that's not there also, which is work that was done by the highway department. That would also tell the investigator there was ongoing issue, excuse me. Since there's no other process for me to challenge this finding, the only research I've done says this is a possible criminal matter if documents were destroyed or withheld. That is a Class D felony. I can only report this to the state investigators unless you know of some other process. It's also an ongoing violation to dump water onto my property. That's an EPA violation. According to the file that I saw, essentially your highway department believes there's no problem. There's no issue at Stony Hill Path. I hired, and I have a report from a town engineer, from a professional engineer that shows the problems with that system. And that's just from a rudimentary, a very preliminary review. Plus, I've been in the business 35 years. Construction business, I know issues, I see the issues. They're all very visible. They say they did a test, or when the paving project was done, that the water, they didn't see it pooling, and they believe there's no issue. but it takes more than one item to cause the flooding. If they were to put a garbage can in the street, that stops the flow of the water and it goes back up, backs up to my property. There's multiple issues involved here. It's not just a simple of, it was a heavy rainfall and this is a one-time event. This has been happening, not 11 inches of rain, it happened on 2 inches of rain, 1 inch of rain. The last event was New Year's Eve. I sat out there with a broom during the thunderstorms, waiting for the water, and it came close. It came very close and it stopped. Sorry, this has been a problem because I still can't repair my basement. My stuff is still in a trailer on the driveway. I can't sell my house if I want to. There's gotta be a solution here. There's gotta be someone willing to look at the situation. I have an engineering report and it has to be fixed. There was a temporary solution, I believe it was Mr. Lohman, I discussed with you after one of the meetings, that could be done in 2 days to at least stop the potential flooding again. So I just beg you, something's gotta be done. I need to, move something forward. I can't just live the way we've been living for the last 9, 10 months. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I may, I was at your property late last year with the highway superintendent, and off of Landing Meadow Road, I believe, and you're on the corner, there's a sump. And it was my understanding that they were going to go in and scrape and clean out the sump, so they hit the fresh soil, so it drains.
Correct.
And they were supposed to be putting last I spoke to Mr. Murphy, that they were gonna be putting drainage on your side with a pipe going across. Do you know if that was done?
Nothing, as far as I know, nothing was done.
Okay.
The only thing was done, Verizon cleared the leaves that are outside the sump area, which are half of the problem, because they fall right into the sewer and block the sewer. Those that are outside your sump, that have never been cleaned. Verizon thankfully did it because they had to run a line or something, but that'll come back. And the only, again, my engineer report says, yeah, the problem is not in the sump. The problem is the water can't get to the sump. The size of the pipes underground he found, he actually went in there too. He looked at the openings in the catch basins. He saw it was pretty good there. He did. He said the problem is you can't get the water to the sump. And since they don't go there, it's coming onto my property.
I will circle back today with Mr. Murphy and revisit all of this, and if necessary, we'll go back out to your property and take a look. That was what was supposed to have been done.
Right.
I can't say it was or it wasn't, because I didn't go.
It's just there are multiple things that, not one item will fix it. And since I have this list of engineering things that they say are wrong, what do? Do I submit a notice of defect for every item? By the way, your website on notice of defect, that was one of the reasons for the rejection of the claim, that I didn't submit a notice of defect. Your website doesn't, it gives 4 reasons for using a notice of defect. It's an error, obviously, because your town code, I realize now, says something else. But your website says to use notice of defect for trees, curbs, aprons, and pavement. It doesn't mention flooding, so I had no reason to file that. Instead, I filed that letter, which is now missing, from 2 different buildings, which, again, I don't know what to do with that.
My suggestion, sir, would be stay in touch with Councilman Loman. Obviously, he's privy to the information that you have. Just stay in touch with him, and I assure you, he'll get to the bottom of it with Highway and stay in contact with you.
And with respect to your claim, I'll pull the file out and take a look at it.
Okay, thank you.
Right? You're welcome.
Julia Strauss.
Hello to everyone. I'm a little nervous, so please excuse me if my voice tumbles while I'm reading this to you. Good afternoon to everybody assembled here. You may remember me from my previous appearances. I'm always here about the same subject, the disturbance, the nuisance of my neighbor causing me by lighting fires in his outdoor hearth. He constructed this hearth legally. It confirms the code, but the way he uses it creates environmental hazard to me and my family. My health has declined significantly as a result of his legally burning firewood. He does it, according to his contention, to roast marshmallows and make s'mores. However, he burns wood for a period of 8 to 10 hours a day on a weekend over the summer, all summer long. This presents a smoke hazard for us. We cannot spend any time outdoors for 3 years because of the choking smell that pervades our property. This is a situation which requires recognition as a nuisance. There are other regulations here in the town of Smithtown that prevent our neighbor shining a bright light onto another neighbor's property. There are regulations that prevent playing loud music or making loud noises that disrupt the peaceful neighborhood that we live in. There are 5 senses. Seeing, hearing, and smelling is equivalent to the others. The smell of smoke is so strong that our elderly family relatives came to visit us on Sunday. They choked immediately when they arrived to our property. This cannot go on. We demand recognition to this smoke burning as a nuisance, a health hazard, and it's recognized as such under New York state law and under federal law. Why isn't the town of Smithtown up to date to this subject? We insist that you pay attention to all senses, to all health problems that people experience here within a town. It's illogical and inconsistent to regulate only 2 of the 5 senses. Why is my health subject to the whims of this person who randomly and sometimes maliciously burns wood in order to disrupt my life? So I wanted to present an idea.
Ma'am, your 3 minutes is up. If you would give us your information here, we will certainly look into it and get back to you.
Can I add one thing? I've been everywhere. I've been to the congressman of Suffolk County. I went to the health department. I went to the fire department. I spoke to 3 firemen. I spoke to everybody. It got to a point that something has to be done.
Okay, so.
And I emailed all of you, and I tried to reach out to you. They didn't let me talk. And it's got to a point that my health
Okay,
is.
I need you to just leave your contact information with the clerk, and we will look into the situation. Thank you.
No other speakers.
Okay, no other speakers? I move to close.
Second.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack.
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarello.
Yes.
Councilman Lohman.
Yes.
Okay, thank you everyone for attending.